is on hello, and this one is sliding, but it's wrong direction. Right now that's on. All right. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da. Let's scoot this up a little closer to get a close view. There we go. Oh, hello. Dang, how that happened. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know if I should be able to do that type of stretch. That'd be kind of crazy. Let's see. You in there, Wes? Oh, the legs fall off. The legs fall off. Let's see here. Let me see. Get the leg back on there. Let's see. Sorry, we're just adjusting Instagram line right now, and
yeah.
How's that?
Better.
That's better?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool. That'll work. Kind of at an angle a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Whew, it is Friday. It is the second Friday of January of 2020.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's crazy. Never thought I would reach this point. Kidding with you. I'm kidding with you, but it's awesome. It's January 20th. It's amazing. First and foremost, it is Bow Tie Fridays. What do you guys think of my bow tie? What do you guys think of the bow tie? Made by the beautiful Bonique Bows, who I happen to be married with. So, hello, beautiful. Thank you so much. Friday. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that Wesley and I always get asked about is condos, townhouses. What's the difference, right? Now, before we continue, I must introduce ourselves for people that may not have seen us before. Hi, my name is Qierre McGlory, Realtor, productivity coach at the Keller Realty North Tustin office, and author of the Blueprint to Successfully Selling Your Home, Qierre McGlory. And right next to me, this very well-dressed business partner of mine. He's a money man. He is wealth manager. He is the broker associate of Omni-Fund, Mr. Wesley Oliver. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So as I stated, we are going to be talking about condos versus townhomes, right? A comparison of the two alternative living options for prospective buyers out there. So Wes, what is the difference of a condo and a townhome?
I would say it's more about the actual structure, because I'll say this, and you know this as well. A lot of times what people perceive to be a townhome versus a condo, most people think that if you live in a building, if you have people above you or below you, then you're in a condo. But if you share attached walls, but you have more of a structure, like it feels like a house,
right?
But you have attached walls, but no one above you or beneath you, you're in a townhome. But most of the time, when you're seeing a structure that looks like a townhome, it's actually zoned as a condo. So the biggest difference, literally, what we're talking about is just how it's zoned, whether you own the land underneath or not. But because I live in a condo, but you see my place, you would think it's a townhome,
right?
So it's mostly just how it's zoned, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's interesting though, because I mean, there's not a lot of zoned townhouses in Orange County.
Not a lot at all.
But you do drive by and you'll see something, you'll automatically assume it's a townhouse,
right?
Because it doesn't look like a condo, right? Because as Wes was saying, most condos kind of look like apartment complexes, right? Because how they're situated, there's usually someone that's below you, there's usually someone that's above you. You either are in a 2-story with no backyard, or you're at a single story with no backyard. Maybe sometimes you have a patio, but you really have common walls right next side of you both. Normally, when it comes to a condo, right? And then we have a townhouse. Townhouses normally look more of like an attached home, right? So maybe you may have one common wall, maybe 2 common walls, but typically you'll have like a patio, or maybe you'll have a backyard, or maybe you'll have both, right? And typically when it comes to a condo, condos normally usually offer more amenities, such as maybe there's like a fitness gym, pool, maybe like a little park, a little, what do they call them? Lot tots or pot lots? What is it called? What is it called? Tot lots. Pot lots, tot lots, whatever. Some tongue twister, right? They have those tot lots, you know, and they usually cover maybe more in terms of what your payment is. Maybe it'll have some type of free cable or maybe some type of free water, things like that, right? And then with a townhouse, you usually have less amenities. That's what I've experienced between a condo and a townhouse. So yeah. So now, Wes, we always run to the point where we always have clients that'll say, "Hey, you know, if I want to buy something, I don't want to have an HOA."
Right.
Now, let's talk about that. What does an HOA do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yes.
Because the answer is, I don't know. But here's why I don't know the answer. For those of you who are out there looking at condos or townhomes, which typically have HOAs,
right,
and sometimes even single-family residences, an important question to ask is, what does the HOA cover? What services do they provide? What do they do? Because that's really, to me, the only way you should be determining whether or not you want to live in an HOA situation.
Right.
Right? So you were saying earlier that they may cover certain utilities, right? So my HOA in particular covers water and, trash, right? I have a friend who has an HOA. They don't cover water, but they do cover their internet. Okay. I've met people whose HOA covers the cable bill. Right? So they don't all necessarily cover the same thing, but that's an important question to ask as you're looking at properties. Because when you're making the distinction of whether or not you're okay with that HOA or not, really what you should be doing is determining whether or not you're getting value and what kind of value you're getting and if the value is worth it. Right. Because for my HOA, I'm very happy with the value that I get. A few of the things that they've done, since I've lived there, they've repainted my building. They've resurfaced and repainted the. Now, when you say your building, are you talking about like your office building or your common area building, or are you talking about your structure? My structure. Oh, okay. They've repainted the outside of my specific structure. Okay. They've put out new street lights. They've put new gravel and everything. Repaved the roads outside my structure. They resurfaced my porch. They've resurfaced the steps leading up to my porch. They repainted the trim, the handrails and all that. Right. They send a termite, they do a free termite inspection for me, and they cover a free termite inspection. Yeah, that's every year. Every year you get a free termite inspection. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. Because there's a lot of HOAs that don't offer that. Exactly. And we sell houses in HOA communities that don't do yearly termite inspection. So that's great that yours actually does a yearly termite inspection. That's awesome. Yeah. So they use, they send out a termite inspector every year, and they do termite treatments and whatnot. I don't pay for that specifically out of my pocket. And just recently, as I was telling you last week, I had a pretty big emergency over the Christmas break. For those of you who don't know, what I experienced, we had a slab leak. Oh, geez. That's a big one. For those of you who don't know, a slab leak, basically a lot of the pipes actually run underneath the foundation in your garage or something like that. And if it starts leaking underneath there, it's a real problem, or it can be. Right. Now, usually because you're either going to have to tear up, the foundation or reroute pipes or something like that. Right. They can be pretty expensive to deal with. Matter of fact, in my panic, I, started looking up online and started Googling, and I saw that they could cost thousands of dollars to repair. Oh, wow. Yeah, thousands of dollars. So I also have a home warranty. So that was the first step. I called my home warranty company, but it never occurred to me even to call my HOA, my association. But I did. And the only reason I called them was to make sure I didn't, need to get clearance or anything like that for them to tear up, the gravel or whatever. Right. Come to find out, it was actually covered under the HOA. Wait a second. So the fact that you have a home that's in an HOA, and your HOA is actually going to cover that. Yeah. So they already sent someone out. So the slab leak has been repaired. That's great. Thankfully. Yes. And then now they're sending out a restoration company that is going to repair all the drywall and everything that was torn up from the plumbers that had to do the work.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't cost me anything extra.
That's amazing. Now, ballpark, like how much do you think all that would cost you?
Well, they sent me an asbestos specialist out there first to make sure that there was no asbestos.
Right.
And they sent me a copy of that invoice. That by itself was like $500.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
For the plumbers, I'm guessing that was probably going to be at least 4 figures, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like $2,000.
Okay.
And
it's already $2,500.
Yeah, and the restoration work is probably going to be probably close to another $1,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that, how I look at it, anything that has more than like 5 or 6 letters in the word is going to be expensive.
Yes.
Restoration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Restoration. It's like, that's already going to be expensive already. I already know I'm paying at least $500 or more for it. Restoration.
Not just that, if they have the term specialist.
Oh, yes.
In their name.
Absolutely, for sure. Definitely, right?
Yeah, I might add that to my title.
You're a lender specialist.
Yes.
Specialist in lending money. Oh, okay. So lender specialist. Got it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it can get pretty expensive. And so that's one of the benefits of being an HOA, because really you get to share those expenses, with your neighbors. Because if you just own a freestanding home, and many people don't pay attention to this, they don't do this, they don't know this. They say that when you own a home, a single family residence,
right,
you're supposed to set aside 1% of the home's value annually for upkeep.
Okay.
How many people out there are actually doing that? Most people are just living their lives until an emergency happens, right?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So when those things happen, unless you have a home warranty, which is another good idea,
right,
and everything's not covered under a home warranty, we already know that. So unless you have a home warranty, if you're a single family residence owner, you're going to have to cover, a lot of those things by yourself.
Right.
No one's paying for them.
Yeah.
Right? And by the way, I'm going to tell you this as well, because one of the things I think we all hate doing, even though I'm in the industry and I know a lot of contractors, doesn't it suck to have to call people up and get bids? And, you know what I mean? Because they take care of that too. Like, I don't have to worry about hey, they already are contracted with a particular company.
Exactly.
And if they mess up, they're going to fix it. So
yes,
I don't have to think about it. And I don't think about what it's costing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you tell a person? Because obviously, like I said, we run into this. People are like, hey, I don't want a condo. I want a townhouse. Right. I want a single family residence. You've already brought up, several positive things about, having a townhouse, having a condo. The fact that, your common area maintenance gets taken care of.
Sure.
The fact that you have that inspection of the termite once a year. And the fact that you were just dealing with something that could have cost you thousands of dollars. Right. And luckily, the fact that you are part of your HOA, they cover all those things for you. Right. And also take out the headache of you having to call several different contractors, scheduling times for them to come in, scheduling times for them to do their inspections, and then trying to go over bids and seeing which person's going to do this and that and all that kind of stuff, right? Maybe even researching their insurance bonds, things like that, right? That your HOA covers all that stuff, and a lot of their workers that they have, they're actually approved by them. You know what I mean? Like they're approved vendors. Like for instance, like I said, the community that we sell a lot of homes in, they have approved lenders. So whenever we're selling a house in there, all the seller has to do is call the HOA, and the HOA says, okay, we'll call our handy company, we'll call our termite company, we'll call the painter. Like they already have these people already on staff. Right. And you don't have to worry about doing that extra legwork. Right. Yeah. Now, what's a typical HOA fee in Orange County?
I would say on average, you're probably looking at somewhere between $300 to $350.
Oh, okay.
Mine is $305.
Right.
It started $305.
Yeah.
When I first moved in that place 11 years ago, it was, I believe, like $225.
Okay.
Now, why it goes up, of course, is because the cost of goods and services go up over time.
Right, exactly.
So the managing budget of the development is going to go up over time. Right. Oh, I forgot one of the best parts as well. So obviously we have a pool, but we also have a pretty great clubhouse.
Oh, yes.
Right. That we can book for events. We can have up to 50 people. It's got a nice kitchen, nice park area outside where you can put the jumper out there if you want. Nice. And it cost me all of $75 whenever I want to book it.
Really?
Yeah.
Now this clubhouse, can you book it for any event, or does it have to be like a special event only?
No, as long as it's not business oriented. So as long as it's for a personal residential event, yeah, I can book it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's another cool thing about it as well. So also, and this is the part that people don't think about when they talk about the HOA, because they're in control of the common areas and a lot of the times what the building looks like on the outside,
right?
And also what the residents are able to do inside, their homes. Now, it's nothing crazy, right? But some things make sense. Like, I can't just start operating a mechanic's garage out of my garage.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm appreciative of that. Now, also, I can't just start using my garage for storage like so many people do where we come from, where we grew up, right? Now, the benefit to all that, and Qierre can attest to this as a real estate agent, you have uniformity. And when uniformity is good for property value.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to have to worry about some neighbor, painting their house hot pink, you know what I mean? Or having a bunch of cars on their lawn, on bricks. That's going to lower my property value when I decide to sell the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that to me is like the greatest value of having the uniformity of an HOA.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not for everyone, right? But that's why I say you have to really look at what you're getting for the value. And then you also kind of got to know what you're doing as well. Because if you are that person that wants to have cars on blocks,
right?
An HOA is not for you.
Well, for sure. I mean, if you want a little more, I guess, variety in terms of things that you can do around your garage, in your front yard, then yeah, maybe an HOA is not for you. But you should definitely not fear an HOA not fear a condo or townhouse because of the HOA. That shouldn't be your defining factor because we run into that. It's like, I don't want a townhouse, I don't want a condo because I don't want to pay the HOA. Right. But if you find a home that fits you, fits your budget, like I said, this is your first home. It's not your forever home. And this is a conversation that we have on a numerous occasion. Because people always think that the very first home they buy has to be their forever home. And that's not the case. Right. So you can start out at a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, have that for 3 to 5 years, right? It gains equity. Either you can sell that property, right? Use the equity that you have in that property, buy a bigger property, or you can hold on to that property, rent that out, make sure you're recording the rental income, of course, and then buy your next property, right? So think of so what I tell my clients to do, think of the condo as your starting point. Right. Remember, at the end of the day, this is a marathon. It's not a race, right? So you're just getting your feet wet. You're just starting your marathon with your condo, with your townhouse, right? Right. And then from there, you can move on and get something bigger. But don't hold off on making an action, because you don't want to pay an HOA. Because what we know what's going on with the market right now, interest rates are still low, homes are still coming on and selling at record levels, homes are still getting hit with multiple offers. And we know that the cost of waiting is a real thing. Absolutely. And I would say, if you're going to rule out a condominium or something with an HOA, and it's really not the HOA that people have a problem with, because people buy single family residences all the time that have HOAs. Right. It's mostly they don't want to be in a condo, they don't want to have shared walls, whatever. If you're going to rule it out for the right reasons. Right. Because the first time I purchased a property and I bought I would say a prototypical condominium the first time I purchased. So it was inside a building. I had people above me, shared walls. And at that time, I was young. I didn't really know what an HOA did. I thought it was just like an initiation fee you paid every month to be part of it. Right? I didn't realize it. And by the way, that condo I purchased as well, water was covered, and so was the garbage. Perfect. So I didn't know any of that. I didn't even know to ask that. But I would have ruled out an HOA like most people do, just not knowing what an HOA does or what it might do for me. Right. And the benefits of it. So if you're going to rule it out for the right reasons, not just because you think you're paying money somewhere. Because that's what usually people say to me when they don't want an HOA. Right. Yeah, I don't want to waste money like that. Well, I don't waste money. It's not a waste of money to me because what I get for my money. Exactly. Right. So I would say that, and then also along those lines, just keep this in mind. For single-family residents, and this is why I have to have this conversation so many times in Orange County, because everybody wants a single-family residence their first time in Orange County. Right.
but they also want a $2,500 mortgage payment.
Mm.
And that's not going to happen, probably.
Right.
You might get lucky and find a 2-bedroom in a neighborhood you don't want to walk your dog in at night, but probably not.
Yeah, for sure. Well, especially you said Orange County. Absolutely. For
Yeah,
sure.
because
yeah, exactly.
a condo in Orange County probably is averaging, what would you guess, $450,000 maybe?
Well, yeah, for sure. So then you average what the mortgage interest rate, the PITI, and then also the HOA on top of that. You're looking at least what, a little over $3,000.
Yeah. So some of you just quite frankly will not be able to afford a single family residence in Orange County right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hate to have happen is people say, you know what, I refuse to own an apartment, so I'm just going to rent one instead. Because that's essentially, a lot of the times when people are like, I'm not going to buy a condo, they're already living in an apartment. Well, why not have an apartment that builds equity?
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. So thank you, Wes, for sharing, all the information about a condo, about Townhouse, and what does an HOA do, right? I'm glad you shared all the information. So I hope this video was helpful. Obviously, it's going to be posted here, and always you can replay it, play as many times as you want, play it 100 times you want, whatever you want to do. Also, feel free to share this video, anyone that you know that can find this valuable, because this is an ongoing conversation that we have with our clients between Townhouse, HOA, condos. Like, why should we do that, right? So this is definitely something that's very informational. As always, if you guys have any questions, you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, please reach out to myself and Wes. We would love the opportunity to interview for the job of helping you with your real estate needs. And if you are interested in a real estate career, click down below in this message box, because I am a career consultant with Keller Williams. I do help agents start and grow their real estate careers. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And let me know what you guys think about this bow tie. All right, now let Wes sign out.
And remember, when you guys are going to contract us for our services, we're specialists. Don't forget. Be assertive, be proactive, have a great weekend.
All right.